Siralim 3, gotta catch 'em all. It's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Welcome to another Sunny review, and before we get started, if you end up liking this video, please consider following me on Twitch where I stream every Saturday night. Follow me on Twitter and sub to the channel if you're brand new, but only if you like the content. Siralim 3 is a monster catching and tamer's dream with over 700 monsters to catch, or should I say extract. With so much happening, I don't think I can cover it all, but I will give you a fast breakdown in this review as I think this game is worth your time. We start with the actual method of acquiring your monsters, and to do this you go about extracting their cores. When you extract their cores, you take them to the brazier, in which you will use the resources you've collected and you turn them into the monster that you just encountered. There's a lot of different types of monsters ranging from life, nature, chaos, sorcery, death, and many more, with each monster having its own unique bonus trait, and those can be as wide ranging from a simple stat boost to your whole party, or procs where if your monster is hit, it will fire off a spell to all the enemies on the field. But one thing that makes this different from Pokemon-like games is the ability to equip monsters with artifacts. These are items you can craft from scratch or you get from loot drops. These will have random stats on them, but you can focus the type of artifact you want to equip on your monster. For instance, I had one creature who had a cool dodge based trait that gave him a 50% chance to dodge enemy attacks, so I equipped him with a cloak with another 30% chance to dodge, and every time he dodged an enemy, he attacked them. Artifacts can also have individual traits on them, and you can enchant your artifacts to add more bonuses on them. So this is a part of the game itself you'll be hunting for, and you're going to be wanting to min-max your creatures with these cool artifacts. One aspect of the game that I personally wasn't a huge fan of is the spell gems. Spell gems are gems that you'll find as loot throughout the game that will have spells you equip on your monsters. These spell gems will typically be specific type of spells that are used with its corresponding type. For instance, a life spell gem that goes with a life monster. And the reason I wasn't a fan is because every time you summon a new monster, they come with no abilities except the trait they get. So essentially you would decide its moveset with the gems you acquire, but when you start off in the game, you haven't collected a lot of these gems yet. So you're limited to the mercy of random drops in hopes of getting something good and useful for your party's creatures. But one positive I will mention is that you'll be able to put any of these abilities with any monster as long as it's in the same category. So you can set up your monsters as you like once you collect enough of these spell gems. As for the combat itself, this can get pretty deep as well since you're having a full party of monsters of up to 6 fighting at once. You can really set up your team how you like. You can have a mixture of physical based attack creatures mixed in with casters or even healer type monsters. With you having 6 creatures out in the battlefield at once, you're going to want to try and find synergies between your team to really maximize the combat. Combat itself and the animations are not fancy, and I think this is where some people will overlook the game, and I probably won't blame them, as when you do attacks or heals, there isn't much happening in terms of the animations. Typically it will be something very basic and the creatures all standing around in a static form. You won't really see a ton of movement. As for the overall gameplay, you'll be exploring these smaller realms. You'll be going on a floor by floor basis, but these never end in terms of the quantity of floors and are completely randomly generated. Exploring isn't much to write about here since you're only going floor by floor collecting resources and fighting battles. There's also a story here, but there's not much to talk about. The story is more of a big tutorial that you'll need because there is so much happening in this game. But once you get past that story, you really start to hit the ground running, because from there you'll be acquiring more monsters, you'll be leveling, battling, crafting, breeding, fighting super monsters, or bosses I should say. There's just so much happening in this game, it's pretty insane. There is no level cap in this game, and there really is no end to this game, and you decide what your goals are in Siralim 3 and how you want to play it. With all that said, my final rating of Siralim 3 is a solid 7 out of 10, and I highly recommend this game if you're into Pokemon style games, as this one will be right up your alley. I honestly only covered a fraction of what this offers. I was never able to get into the breeding of creatures, the arenas, the tavern brawls. There is so much content in this game that for 15 bucks you're absolutely getting your money's worth, and I'm confident you won't be disappointed. Just keep in mind that the combat animations are simple, the exploring is limited to floors, but if none of that is a deal breaker for you, go ahead and pick this one up. With all that said, thank you guys for watching this rapid fire Sunny review. Please consider hitting that like button if you've enjoyed the video, sub to the channel if you're new and you want to see more reviews and gameplay videos. But I hope you guys have a sunny day.